Robert Waterman for youtube.com/seconds out. Mark Prince, great to see you.
Great to see you.
Here you're coming back.
Certainly.
Would you like to tell us something about that?
Oh, most definitely. 4th October. I'm at the York Hall, Bethnal Green. I've been training for the last year. I tried to get my license from the British Board of Boxing and Control. They refused, based on my age, based on an injury that I had in 2000. I tried to let them know that the injury hasn't stopped me, but they still refuse. I've been focused on coming back for one specific real reason. The charity that I've been trying to work with, to create a legacy for my son and to help these young people out on the streets. Basically, I feel like it's being ignored and I haven't raised it to the profile that I want, where we're gonna get a premises. So I felt that I need to put myself back in the spotlight. Once I do that, I will create the people and the backing, the sponsorship, and I'll be able to get the funds to be able to get the help that I need for my charity.
So when you decided to come back the first time recently, you tried to go with the British Boxing Board of Control. What happened there?
They refused my license based on my age, based on my time out, and based on the fact that I had an injury in the year 2000. The injury hasn't caused me any problems. I've been training, well, basically I never stopped training. I'm the people's champion. I've been using boxing to keep the youths off the streets, training myself, and I've been focused on training for the last year, since last year, September, focused on me, getting my body in shape, hard work, dedication, discipline. And I've been putting the work in, and now I'm prepared and I'm good to go.
You're fighting on the 4th of October. Tell me a little bit about that fight.
The Maltese Commission gave me a license because the British Board of Boxing didn't. And Dave Murphy has set me up with a fight on the Courtier events. And I'm really looking forward to my first opponent and getting back in the ring and showing the public that I'm just not a guy with illusions of grandeur. I'm a real fighter. I'm not just a people's champion, I'm a very worthy champion. To go back in the ring, I'm gonna show that I can come up against these young guys and I'm gonna school them. And you're gonna see a guy and prove that over 40 ain't the end of your life, ain't the end of your boxing career, it can be the beginning. So this is another part of the chapter of a very traumatic story of a man that lost his son at the hands of a kid that carried a knife, and with his desire and strength to make something good out of something horrible, I continue the next chapter. And I can't wait to unfold what's happening next.
What are your feelings towards the boxing establishment, the British Boxing Board of Control right now?
At first I was really angry. And I thought, you know, how could these guys prevent me? This is restraint of trade. And I tried to think about it, well, what are they trying to do here? They've got to safeguard boxing. But at the same time, I feel that there was a disrespect going on because they should have been allowed to do tests to come in and see the level that I'm coming at, and if I'm a good stage, or if I'm fit enough, or if my injury was holding me back. There should have been some sort of test. There was none. So you can't stop somebody from continuing their boxing career if you haven't found out and done the necessary tests to see whether he's capable or incapable of carrying on. So I feel that I was unfairly dealt with. And it doesn't look good on the board that 1 minute they'll give someone like Flintoff a license and he comes from basically no knowledge of boxing background. I, on the other hand, have a great knowledge of boxing from 21 years old, WBO Intercontinental Champion, IBF Intercontinental Champion, fought for the world title, the only loss in 20 fights. I have the right to come back and fight in that ring and earn a living. And that's been taken away from me by the board. So, you know, I'm going to show them that maybe you need to reconsider.
So, in an ideal world, you'd still like to fight under the auspices of the British Boxing Board of Control?
Of course I would love to, but it's only because the doors were shut. And if you work hard and you dedicate yourself, then you break down any obstacle that's put in front of you. So there's no bad feelings against the board. I continue to stay focused because it's about my son and what I'm trying to do in the community. So I continue to stay forward in a positive mindset. and I will overcome all the obstacles that come against me. So I believe that the board will look at my performance and see that, maybe we need to reconsider here, because this guy's in wonderful condition, taking out young fighters, current.
One of the things I think is important to have a quick discussion about is that a lot of people who might be watching this interview with you won't remember Mark Prince from your boxing days.
That's right.
So tell people a little bit about your career and the fight, particularly probably the world title fight, where you told me in the past that you think that was the best fight and the one you learnt the most from. But tell people a little bit about your career.
Well, at 21 years old, I was a kid. I ran away from home at 16. And I was just on the street, so I had a really rough upbringing, and my mindset was a street mindset. So I wasn't positive. I was doing some of the things that I talked to the kids about not doing, until I turned to boxing, decided to start working hard and dedicate myself. That changed my whole life around. So once I allowed boxing to change me, I began to go into the amateur career. One season, I proved to myself that I was a very good fighter. I beat the top 5 amateurs in the country. I turned professional at 23. So against everyone telling me that I started boxing too late, I'm not gonna do well, I've done very well. And from 23 to 30 years old, I constructed a professional record of 16 knockouts, 19 wins. And before my injury that took me out of my boxing career. The world title fight, I was given no chance. I was 18 fights undefeated. The world champion was 38 fights undefeated and had knocked out a considerable amount of his opponents. Even Chris Eubank refused to fight him when they offered him the fight. But I took the fight. I believed in myself, and despite my preparations not being right, I made no excuses. I gave my all. Mikuchowski wrote about me in his book how difficult it was for him to deal with me in that fight. So that was a lot of credit to me. Jim Watt and the commentators recognized that. At first they thought I didn't belong in there. But after seeing me, they recognized a real world champion in me and my performance. So I got more credit for the one loss than I did in my whole 18 wins that I had previously.
Your career came to an end. Would you like to tell the viewers a little bit why you stopped your career at that point?
I stopped my career after my first cruiserweight victory. After my loss, I went up to cruiserweight, and my knee popped out the socket. The doctors at the surgery said they don't think I can continue at world-class level. My dreams are shattered. I took that in as gospel and thought to myself, well, where else is there for me to go? Life gets really hard. You've got to look after your children, your family, keep your house above your head. So I started in the grind of life, just trying to make ends meet. And that was very tough. And while that was happening, and me just trying to figure out what do I do with my life from here, because it's very difficult for fighters. They don't, especially when they don't plan to end their career, and I didn't. My son got killed, and that just changed my whole life in a different direction. And I just began to focus on building a charity and focusing on building something, a legacy for my son that would never be forgotten and other kids could follow in his footsteps, which is doing something great. My boy wanted to be a footballer, and he lived for his dreams, dreamt for it, and he focused, and he was a great kid.
You don't mind talking about your son a little bit?
Not at all, I love talking about my son.
When you talk about football, I mean, he was well on his way, wasn't he?
Oh, he wasn't just another kid out there trying to become a footballer. He was rated as a top potential. He was 15 and they was putting him over to the over 18s. Queen's Park Rangers were looking after him and had plans for his future. They talked about, I overheard talk about him playing for England one day, so I was really, really chuffed about that. And, I was just looking forward to him, just enjoying himself, doing what he loved doing. And he was improving in school, he was doing so well.
So to round off this interview, where do you think you're going to be in, say, a year and a half, 2 years' time? A year and a half, I will be recognised and established as one of the best exciting fighters that the UK has at the present moment. I'm going to be the Bernard Hopkins of the UK. How old is Bernard?
Bernard's probably about 48, 49.
So you got a few years here?
Oh, well, definitely, but I haven't got any experience. In experience, What I have, these guys can't match me. They've got this young strength, bravado. I used to have all that. Now I've got my spirit, a warrior spirit. I've gone through so much in life. How are you gonna break me? You know, most fighters come in and they battle with you as a warrior to break your spirit. You can't break this spirit. The things I've been in, the dark places I've been in, where I've seen no light come through and I've believed and God's taken me through. Now when I go in the ring, this is the easy part of my life. Going in the ring, I used to think that was hard. What I've been through, that's hard. These guys haven't been where I've been. I'll take them to some dark places, I'll hurt them and take them out of the ring, and I'll do it in style.
Mark Prince, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.